Hello and good evening. You're watching Express News with me, Nancy Kohli Mahajan, and let's take a look at the top stories of the day. 23 European Union MPs who visited Jammu and Kashmir said on Wednesday that they regret the news of the killings of 5 workers by terrorists and all the problems of Kashmir are linked to the menace of terror. While addressing the media, the European Union delegation said that they fully support India in its efforts for lasting peace and the end of terror. Another European Union parliamentarian, Bill Newton Dunn, termed India as a peace-loving country and said that India has very good relations with European nations. Briefing the media, he said that the people of Kashmir have complained about the corruption and the misuse of money sent by the Centre for Developmental Work. Speaking with the media, European Union Parliament's member Thierry Mirani said that the European Union delegation spoke with the people of Kashmir about the ground situation. He said the local residents expressed hope that they now will also get all the benefits like other Indian citizens. Addressing the media, Raizad Zernaki, the member of European Parliament, said that during the visit he observed that people in Jammu and Kashmir need jobs. He also said that people there want peace and more opportunities. Ladakh is also geared up for the historic moment in its modern history. The Lieutenant Governor of Ladakh designate R.K. Mathur and Jammu and Kashmir High Court Chief Justice Geeta Mittal have arrived in Leh. Arrangements for the swearing-in ceremony of Lieutenant Governor Radhakrishna Mathur are in full swing in the Sindhu Sanskrit Kendra in Leh. R.K. Mathur will be administered the oath of office by the Chief Justice Geeta Mittal in a ceremony on Thursday. The town is spruced up for the historic event of becoming a union territory, every Ladakhi's dream for the last 70 long years. During a one-on-one interaction at the Future Investment Initiative Forum in Riyadh, Prime Minister Modi highlighted the need for reforms of the United Nations. He called for a compassionate and united world to tackle today's challenges. In Maharashtra, Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis has been elected as the leader of the state BJP legislature party. He also said that people have given the mandate to Mahayuti, the alliance, and no one should have a doubt about it. The government will be of Mahayuti and will be a stable one. Nitish Kumar has been elected as the national president of the Janata Dal United for the next 3 years. President Ramnath Kovind attended the convocation ceremony of Jamia Millia Islamia today. The president was accompanied along with the Union HRD Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank. While addressing the students, the president emphasized on the importance of education and urged the Jamia Millia Islamia to become a contributing partner in the process. While addressing the students, President Kovind said that credit for the changes in education system goes to the HRD Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank, and also with the changes in the national education policy, India should aim to establish itself as a knowledge superpower. The theme of symposium is Metal, Ions and Organic Pollutants in Biology, Medicine and Environment. The Vice President also released a book on the occasion. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu inaugurated the 15th International Symposium organized by National Environment Engineering and Research Institute. While addressing the event, the Vice President said that the environmental pollution and deterioration of air quality are the biggest challenges that the country is facing today. The Vice President also said that the scientific research and awareness campaign should be more focused on environmental issues considering deteriorating air quality. Yesterday's well-marked low-pressure area over Comorin area and adjoining equatorial Indian Ocean has moved northwestwards and concentrated into a depression over Lakshadweep area about 220 kilometers west-southwest of Thiruvananthapuram. It is likely to move northwestwards across the Lakshadweep area and intensify into a deep depression during the next 24 hours and further into a cyclonic storm during subsequent 48 hours. Moderate rainfall is likely to continue at most places over Tamil Nadu and Puducherry during the next 24 hours. Heavy to very heavy rain is likely to occur in isolated places across the state. Congress leader P. Chidambaram has been sent to judicial custody till 13th November in the INX media case. The court has also rejected the Enforcement Directorate's application seeking Chidambaram's remand for one more day. The BSE Sensex rallied to 20 points to reclaim the 40,000 mark on Wednesday as strong corporate earnings and expectations of a rejig in the tax structure for equity investors turbocharged the sentiment. After hitting a high of 40,178, the 30-share index ended to 20 points or 0.55% higher at 40,051. The benchmark closed above the key 40,000 level after June this year. The broader NSE Nifty jumped 57 points or 0.49% to close at 11,844. The Indian rupee depreciated 6 paise to 70.91 against the US dollar intraday. The Brent crude futures, the global oil benchmark slid 0.54% to $61.26 per barrel. The gold prices on Wednesday rose 87 rupees to 38,842 rupees per 10 grams in the national capital on firm global trends and a weaker rupee, according to HDFC Securities. The silver prices also gained 450 rupees to 47,220 rupees per kilogram, up from 46,770 rupees per kilogram in the previous trade. For non-compliance with directions issued on income recognition and asset classification norms, the management of advances and exposure norms and other restrictions, the RBI has imposed a fine of 1 crore rupees on the Pune-based Janta Sahakari Bank and 25 lakh rupees on Jalgaon People's Cooperative Bank for violating the asset classification norms. Samsung Electronics unveiled a new design for a smartphone that folds into a square, racing ahead in folding devices after it launched its first model in September. The South Korean tech giant teased the new concept at the Samsung Developer Conference this year in the US. The world's largest smartphone maker is powering ahead with the launch of the 5G phones and $2,000 foldable handsets as it battles rivals Apple and Huawei in an increasingly saturated market. The Boeing chief executive Dennis Muilenburg was pressed by the U.S. lawmakers at a hearing over what the company knew about its MCAS stall prevention system linked to 2 deadly crashes. The Boeing on Tuesday ran full-page advertisements in major newspapers expressing condolences to the families and the loved ones of those killed in the crashes. The Indonesian investigators reported that Boeing, acting without adequate oversight from the U.S. regulators, failed to grasp risks in the design of the cockpit software of the 737 MAX, sowing the seeds for 29th October last year's crash. Fiat Chrysler and Pegua owner PSA are in talks to combine in a deal that could create $50 billion automaker. Fiat Chrysler shares rose sharply after this news report and ended up more than 7.5% in the US trading. Fiat Chrysler earlier this year broached a merger with the French automaker Renault SA that ultimately collapsed. Budget carrier Indigo placed a record order for 300 Airbus airplanes worth at least $33 billion, handing the European manufacturer what could be its largest ever order from a single carrier. The mammoth deal includes Airbus's newest jet, a long-range version of the single-aisle A320neo family called the A321XLR. This will take Indigo's total A320neo family aircraft orders to 730, making it the world's biggest customer for these planes. South Africa aims to complete the legal separation of loss-making state power utility Eskom into 3 units, generation, transmission and distribution by around 2022, a government plan has revealed. The Public Enterprise Minister Pravin Gordhan said that the government hopes to announce a new chief executive for the state power firm next week. He also said that the government planned to procure 2,000 megawatts of electricity to help end power cuts. A rare deep blue colored moon and stars trumpet once owned by jazz great Miles Davis was sold for $275,000 at auction on Tuesday at Christie's in New York. Davis, who died in 1991, is considered one of the all-time best jazz musicians. His 1959 release of Kind of Blue remains the best-selling jazz album of all the times. Piramal Enterprises Limited is seeking shareholders' nod to raise 1,750 crore rupees from a Canadian investor by issuing compulsorily convertible debentures. In a notice for an extraordinary general meeting to be held on 25th November in Mumbai, the company said it required additional funding for various purposes, including the general corporate purposes, in view of its future outlook, the growth target, and the prospects. Tata Metaliks Limited on Tuesday reported net profit to 23 crore rupees for the quarter ending 30th September this year. The company had posted a net profit of 47 crore rupees in the corresponding quarter of the previous fiscal. The TML recorded revenue from operations of 511 crore rupees compared to 499 crore rupees in quarter 1 of financial year 2019-20. Volkswagen AG lowered its outlook for vehicle deliveries this year on a faster than expected decline in auto markets around the world amid economic jitters in Europe and an unprecedented slump in China. The world's biggest car maker now expects vehicle deliveries to be flat this year compared with the previous expectation of a slight rise. The British Parliament has approved Prime Minister Boris Johnson's bill to hold 12th December elections with 438 to 20 votes in the House of Commons. The bill will now be tabled in the House of Lords. Boris Johnson had promised to deliver Brexit on 31st of October, for which he said do or die, and demanded an election on 12th December. United States, Britain, Germany, among other countries, impelled China to stop the detention of ethnic Uyghurs and Muslims in United Nations. Uyghur is the ethnic minority group affiliated with the region of China and East Asia. The foreign minister of Turkey has said that Turkey will eliminate any Syrian Kurdish YPG militia fighters that remain in a planned safe zone in northeastern Syria after the expiration of a 150-hour deadline agreed upon by Ankara and Moscow. Turkish President Erdogan said that Russia has informed Turkey that Syrian Kurdish YPG fighters have been removed from Syrian-Turkish border within a deadline set by Ankara and Moscow. Joel Rayburn, United States Special Envoy for Syria, raised concern over the dangerous situation in northeast Syria. He called on Turkey to fully implement the provisions of the ceasefire. Iran and Russia condemned US President Donald Trump's decision to maintain a military presence near oil fields in northeastern Syria. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said an exploitation of resources. While the House advisor Jared Kushner said that the death of Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi was a big step in the fight against Islamic State, but the United States still has more work to do. Earlier, the US President Donald Trump announced that Baghdadi has killed himself during a raid by the US forces. The US House of Representatives voted overwhelmingly 405 to 11 in favor of terming the mass killings of Armenians a century ago as a genocide. The historic vote might inflame tensions with Turkey. Lebanon's Prime Minister Saad al-Hariri following the anti-government protests in the country. The Prime Minister in his address said he had dead end in trying to resolve the crisis. The protesters in Lebanon carrying Lebanon flags again thronged the streets of central Beirut after the Prime Minister's resignation. Prime Minister Hariri's resignation has further intensified the political turmoil in the country. Search is underway for two brothers from Northern Ireland in the murder case of 39 people who were found dead in the carrier of a truck. The police said that both the brothers are crucial for investigation into the case. Thousands had to evacuate Los Angeles as the wildfire continues to rage up, while favorable weather aided fire tenders to subdue the fire in the Northern California. An army of 1,100 firefighters had confined blaze to about 650 acres. The pro and anti-government groups clashed in Cochabamba, due to which police had to fire tear gas on protesters in Bolivia. The country has been facing turmoil since the Election Commission abruptly announced the victory of sitting President Evo Morales with 84% votes that was later counted to be 47.08%. The violent unrest in Chile against the inequality has ended another week with 18 dead and around 7,000 arrested. Rioters looted various shops, supermarkets and more than 600 businesses. Costanera Center in South America remained closed due to the upheaval. Violent protests in Iraq has entered fifth day, with the death toll reaching 250 as 14 more died in a firing by the Iraqi forces. The protesters in the Shiite city of Karbala took to the streets again after the night of violence. Iraqis are protesting against the corruption and unemployment in the country. In Ukraine, thousands of people gathered outside President Zelensky's office to protest against the withdrawal of government troops in the east of Ukraine. Ukraine's military earlier had confirmed the disengagement of government and Russian-backed rebels. Ukrainian forces have fought the rebels in Donbas region, which killed more than 13,000 people. Representatives from the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights reviewed the situation in Ecuador. The delegation listened to the testimonies of wounded people in the violent protests which hit the Andean country. Violent protests rose in Ecuador when President Lenin Moreno removed the subsidy on diesel, which he later had to resume. Investigation is still underway in Thailand's Wani murder case, who was a business woman. Wani's body was found sealed in a building she owned in the northern Chiang Mai province. 4 dead bodies found in a merchant ship in Spain and around 29 migrants rescued off the coast of Gran Canaria Island. The members of the Spanish Coast Guard and Red Cross received the migrants on the Canary Islands harbour, where they were assisted. In California, 3 people were killed and 9 others were injured in a shooting at a residence in Long Beach. The authorities confirmed the 3 deceased to be men. 9 injured were taken to the local hospital. In Carolina, a home ablaze after a small plane crashed in New Jersey, although the fire was brought under control later. The cause of the crash is still being investigated. Facebook Inc. Sued Israel's cyber surveillance firm NSO Group for allegedly hacking users' messaging platform WhatsApp earlier this year. The Facebook in its lawsuit said that the hacking targeted prominent journalists, politicians and diplomats. A pet cafe in Chengdu, southwest China is trending on social media after the cafe owner dyed his 6 baby dogs black and white to resemble the pandas. The owner said that he dyed his dogs in order to grab more customers. 33rd annual high heel race in Washington impressed hundreds of spectators. Drag queens in the parade showcased various prominent women of the world, including Melania Trump, Greta Thunberg and Nancy Pelosi. Preparations in Mexico City are gearing up to observe the Day of the Dead on 2nd November, a magnificent sculpture seen in the middle of the street in Tijuana region of Mexico. The street sidewalk has been full of Catrinas and massive skeletons. Ahead of Halloween, thousands of intricately carved pumpkins transformed into works of art and lit up at a special exhibition in a botanical garden near Los Angeles. The pumpkins featuring Disney princess and other cartoon characters delighted the kids there. A rare Moon and Stars trumpet once owned by jazz great Miles Davis has been sold for $275,000 at an auction at Christie's in New York. The Paris Chocolate Fair released its 25th anniversary edition with a sweet offering. The fashion show models were seen to be in outfits made of chocolate. The fair, bringing together around 500 participants from around 20 chocolate countries, will end on the 3rd of November. The Great Jack-O-Lantern Blaze, a 49-night Halloween extravaganza, is featuring more than 7,000 illuminated Jack-O-Lanterns at Van Cortlandt Manor in New York. This year, the display of Headless Horseman Bridge is catching all the eyeballs. The event would end on 30th November. Belgians provided an opportunity to choose the name of 2 baby pandas born this summer in Paris Daisy. The zoo has been calling the twins as baby girl and baby boy since they were born. Former BCCI Chief Curator Daljit Singh on Wednesday proposed more grass on the 22-yard strip and lesser than usual on the outfield to counter the unavoidable dew factor for the first ever day-night test to be played in India next month. The BCCI and its Bangladesh counterpart agreed to playing a historic test at Eden Gardens from 22nd November, leaving little time for preparation. Mahmudullah Riyad and Mominul Haq were handed the reins of Bangladesh's T20 and Test squads respectively after the ICC slapped a 2-year ban on regular skipper Shakib Al Hasan. The left-arm spinner Taijul Islam was included in the T20 squad in the place of Shakib, while Mohammad Mithun and Imrul Qais also found a place in the squad after Bangladesh had to make changes due to the absence of Tamim Iqbal and Mohammad Saifuddin. Bangladesh captain Shakib Al Hasan was banned from all cricket for 2 years after the all-rounder was found to have breached the ICC's anti-corruption code. The ICC said that Shakib, the national side's captain in Test and T20s and one of the highest run scorers at this year's Cricket World Cup, had accepted 3 charges related to failing to report approaches he received to engage in corrupt conduct. Namibia will appear at the T20 World Cup for the first time after beating Oman by 54 runs, joining the Netherlands in qualifying for next year's tournament to be held in Australia in October 2020. Namibia, who lost all 6 of their games at the 50-over World Cup in 2003, meet Papua New Guinea in the competition semi-finals, while Oman can still qualify if they beat Hong Kong in a playoff. Earlier, the Netherlands punched their ticket to Australia after thrashing UAE by 8 wickets in the first qualifier playoff. Jamshedpur FC registered their second win on the trot by defeating Hyderabad FC 3-1 in a Hero Indian Super League match at the GRD Tata Sports Complex. Farooq Chaudhary, Aniket Jadhav and Sergio Castle scored for the home team, while Marcelino scored the lonely away goal for the visiting team Hyderabad. The result took Antonio Irandio's men to the top of the table, while Hyderabad are yet to open their tally. Bangladesh captain Shakib Al Hasan was banned from all cricket for 2 years after the all-rounder was found to have breached the International Cricket Council's anti-corruption code. The ICC said that Shakib, the national side's captain in Test and T20s and one of the highest run scorers at the 2019 Cricket World Cup, had accepted 3 charges related to failing to report approaches he received in engaging in corrupt conduct. Having tasted defeat in the qualifier, the UAE are playing against Scotland to secure their position in the next year's ICC World T20 to be held in Australia. In the ongoing match, the UAE are chasing a target of 199 set by the Scottish team. Australia defeated Sri Lanka by 9 wickets in the second match of the ongoing T20 series to gain an unassailable 2-0 lead. Earlier, Australia had defeated Sri Lanka in the first match by 134 runs. Bulgaria will play the next competitive home match behind closed doors and pay a $83,000 fine. European soccer's ruling body UEFA ruled on fining some of their supporters guilty of racist abuse of England players. England's 6-0 win over Bulgaria in the Euro 2020 qualifier was halted twice after fans taunted visiting black players with fascist salutes and monkey chants. Captain Kieran Reid will lead the All Blacks in his final test alongside other departing veterans Ben Smith, Ryan Crotty and Sonny Bill Williams in the Rugby World Cup third-place match against Wales in Tokyo on Friday. Reid will finish his 127 Test career with the All Blacks after deciding to join the Japanese club Toyota. It will also be the coach Steve Hanson's last match in charge. Coach Hanson makes 8 changes from the starting side that were beaten 19-7 by England in the semi-finals. The English rugby squad trained on Wednesday as they made preparations for the Rugby World Cup final against South Africa on Saturday. England under coach Eddie Jones are aiming to win their second World Cup title, with their last and only one being in 2003. They have also lost 2 finals. Captain Owen Farrell and winger Johnny May trained away from the rest of the group as they look to recover from the niggling injuries. 4th seed Daniil Medvedev suffered a shock defeat by home favourite Jeremy Chardy at the Paris Masters. Medvedev, who will make his debut at the ATP Finals next month after a brainstorming season, lost for the first time since US Open final, going down 4-6, 6-2, 6-4. Alexander Zverev, who won last season's ATP Finals, took less than an hour to dispatch Spanish veteran Fernando Verdasco 6-1, 6-3. German Jan Lennard Struff knocked out Russia's world number 8 Karen Khachanov 7-6, 3-6, 7-5 at the Paris Masters, while Taylor Fritz won an All-American showdown against compatriot Francis Tiafoe 7-6, 3-6, 6-4. Frenchman Gilles Simon retired from his match against Canadian youngster Denis Shapovalov after injuring himself while moving on the baseline. Belinda Bencic kept her WTA Finals hopes alive on Tuesday as she rallied to a 6-3, 1-6, 6-4 victory over Petra Kvitova in Shenzhen. Despite a second-set wobble, Bencic won the last 3 games of the match to seal victory and will next face Naomi Osaka's injury replacement Kiki Bertens in her final round-robin match in the red group. Kiki Bertens made the most of a late call up to WTA Finals as Naomi Osaka's injury replacement, downing top-seeded Ashley Barty 3-6, 6-3, 6-4 in Shenzhen. Bertens replaced Osaka earlier in the day after the Japanese 2-time Grand Slam champion withdrew from the tournament, citing a right shoulder injury. Horinari Watanabe reiterated the importance of regaining trust through transparency in the sport of boxing during a three-day Tokyo 2020 boxing test event organized by the Tokyo 2020 Organizing Committee. The International Boxing Association has been in turmoil over its finances and governance for years, and an ongoing bitter battle over the presidency has split the body internally. The IOC has set up a task force headed by Japanese IOC member Morinari Watanabe to organize the qualifiers and the Tokyo Games competition. A Nepalese mountain climber and former British soldier has smashed the world record for climbing the world's highest 14 mountains in just 189 days. Nirmal Names Purjal scaled the last of all 14 mountains with peaks higher than 8,000 meters above sea level on Tuesday when he reached the peak of Shishapanga, the 14th highest in China. Previously, the world record for an individual climbing all 14 peaks was 7 years, 10 months and 6 days held by South Korean Kim Chang-ho. Ravindra secured India's first medal at the Under-23 World Wrestling Championship after advancing 61 kg category final in Budapest. The 22-year-old pinned senior European champion Arsen of Armenia to storm into the finals with a 4-3 win with his semis bout. In the 74 kg, Gaurav Balian will get another chance to take a medal after he made it to Leipzig, where he faces US's Brady Gary Birch. The Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports, Kiran Rijiju, said that the CBSE was preparing a system to ensure sports becomes a substantial part of education to determine the achievement of the student. He said this after inaugurating the Dr. NPV Ramaswamy Udayar Hockey Centre at Sri Ramachandra Medical College and University in Chennai. Salman's Raadhe to start shooting next week. With the Bunk 3 finally wrapped up and ready to hit the big screen, Salman Khan has little time to get his next film Raadhe, Your Most Wanted Bhai, ready for a Eid 2020 release. Superstar Vijay Stara Bigil enters 200 crore club not only in Tamil Nadu, but Bigil is having a dream run worldwide as released in almost 4,200 screens. Taapsee Pannu and Bhumi Pednekar star Sand Ki Aankh rakes in over 3 crore rupees. Film critic Tarun Adarsh shared these figures on his Twitter handle. The Marvel blockbuster Avengers Endgame is set to take home the Hollywood Blockbuster Award at the upcoming 23rd Hollywood Film Awards. John Cena to play the role of firefighter in his forthcoming comedy film Playing with Fire. He pledges to donate $500,000 for California wildfire. The Sacred Games actor Nawazuddin Siddiqui has been bestowed with the Golden Dragon Award Cardiff International Film Festival in the UK. Ewan McGraw star Dr. Sleep sequel to The Shining released in Los Angeles. The movie will hit the Indian cinemas on 8th November this year. The Los Angeles premiere of the upcoming film Terminator Dark Fate has been cancelled due to ongoing wildfires in the Southern California. The multi-starrer Houseful 4 enters the 100 crore club. Actor Akshay Kumar crosses 100 crore rupee mark for the 5th time in a row. The German film director Roland Emmerich's dream project Midway is finally set to be released in November after waiting nearly 20 years to produce the epic blockbuster. Nicolas Cage to star thriller Wally's Wonderland to be directed by Kevin Lewis. Production is scheduled to begin in late January. The House of the Dragon Game of Thrones prequel will be based on George R.R. Martin's book Fire and Blood. It will be directed by Miguel Sapochnik. The announcement came on the official Twitter handle of the Game of Thrones. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the news. Thanks for being with us.